time to grow with the SEO Queen. Receive the perfect leads like never before. No traffic is gonna explode. It's time to grow.
Welcome to the SEO Queen Tech Show, a podcast to help you get more credibility, visibility, and profitability through inspiration, technology, and marketing insight. This podcast is for professionals and entrepreneurs who are looking to get more customers, clients, and patients. We are broadcast on Bashani Radio, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. Bashani Radio, always talking about everything from New York City. You can listen to the SEO Queen Tech Show on any mobile phone or tablet device. Also, as a thank you gift for listening to the SEO Queen Tech Show, you can go to seoqueen.com and download the free ebook 101 Ways to Improve Your Marketing and Sales. So my next guest is, I call her my SEO sister. She is a software engineering dynamo. Don't let her pretty face fool you. She is so smart. She is Rachel Kennedy, the CEO and founder of the prolific blog, The Kennedy Curate, and she is also a rising Clubhouse influencer. So we're going to talk about Clubhouse, and it is definitely going to be a great conversation. You know, Clubhouse is not going to go anywhere. I think it's here to stay.
I know, I agree. It's one of the reasons I think too is because it came at this perfect time when everyone was kind of forced to try to make connections in other ways that they're not used to. So, you know, we had so many other ways to talk to people. Obviously, social media has existed this whole time, but Clubhouse is so unique, and that you don't have to. You can just show up as yourself. You don't have to do hair and makeup for, going live, or write out a script because you're doing an IGTV, or create content. You literally just show up as yourself, right. And you either know what you're talking about or you don't, and right. I think that's people craving connection, being isolated. And I think humans are really community animals. Like, we're just not meant to do everything right. alone. So yeah, I could see it kind of have like ebbs and flows of popularity, but I definitely don't see it going anywhere. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely not going to go anywhere.
Mm-mm.
Man, this is just like, your website is brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, Are you recording now? Have we started?
Yeah, I've already recorded.
Okay. Sorry. I've been blogging since 2008. And one of the reasons I started was because I just had all these like craft projects and sewing projects I was doing. And I remember it was like my middle brother's, I have three brothers. It was my middle brother's birthday. It was September 18th.
How many siblings do you have?
Three. I have three younger brothers.
Oh my God. You're the oldest?
I'm the oldest and the only girl.
Oh my goodness. Oh, the pressure.
Yeah. Well, it's funny though, because I feel like girls and guys have different sets of like coming of age experiences. So for me to be like, oh, I paved the way, I did all the crazy stuff, so you guys aren't as, you don't get in as much trouble. It was totally not the case with me. I had my own separate set of things. And I feel like I had sisters, I could probably pave the way for them for sure. But with brothers, it's like nothing I did was equal to like anything they ended up doing, So, but anyway, yeah, it was my middle brother's birthday. And we were talking about something, I don't even remember now, but he was actually the one that suggested. He was like, what about a blog? He's like, what about a website? And this was back when barely anybody even knew what that was. I mean, it was a known thing, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to go to WordPress, download a template, pop in some colors, and, I'm good to go. And there definitely wasn't, a nice, pretty, clean plugin to install that told you where all of your SEO fields were. That was like, I mean, SEO was even barely a thing in 2008. So it was kind of like if you just put a Like, let's say I wanted my blog to be found on the internet for sewing. You just put sewing and seamstress and, those like related words, just stuff them into your website and it would show up because there just weren't that many websites. So, I mean, it's kind of funny to see the Clubhouse algorithm actually, because you can see that it's a very rudimentary, because I feel like all algorithms kind of at the beginning are that same like indexing. Right. Until there gets to be too much information, and then they have to go to an algorithmic sort of system based on the user's behavior. But it just made me laugh when I first saw how rudimentary like the Clubhouse SEO was, and how just simple and innocent it was. Right. It made me think of like the early days of blogging, where it's like, oh, nothing's complicated and I'm immediately gonna rank and I'm gonna be the only one there, and it's just
man, I don't know. Like, I mean, the algorithm now is like, you blink your eyes, you'll miss something important.
I know.
I mean,
I do appreciate that they've. Sorry, go ahead.
I said it's not rocket science, but it's like, wow.
Those and it is rapidly developing. Yeah. I do appreciate that they've sort of announced everything that they're doing, and they've listened to the audience and chosen what they're going to do based on user feedback. They're not just throwing out things because they're pet projects of them or stuff that they really want to see. Or I feel like there are some, I won't name names, but there are some other social media platforms where it's like, you almost just wonder if the developers are just super proud of an idea they came up with, so they just force it on the audience, and it's like, use this or we'll downrank you. And I don't feel like Clubhouse is like that at all. So that's been very nice.
I think Facebook is very dictatorial. Yeah.
I'll name names.
I don't care, Rachel. You know,
I'm not afraid.
I'm not afraid. Like, whatever. But Rachel, you're just like, an incredible like moderator on Clubhouse. You're an awesome networker. You're just so sweet, so stylish, so cute, so smart. Just take me back. Like, how did you start your educational journey? Like, what was it like, your transition from high school to college?
Yeah. So when I first graduated high school, I didn't go straight to university. There was this, and it's funny though, because I feel like even back 10, 12 years ago, not going to university was a very odd path to take. It was either like, oh, you go to university or you're not going to be successful. I still feel like there's a lot of stigma around that now, but thankfully it's a lot less than it was.
You took a gap year?
I took a gap year, and it ended up being like 3 gap years. and then I decided, I really wanted just to have the paper kind of thing. So, because at that time I had, when would have that been? I would have been 20, almost 21 at that point. When I was like 22, I moved to Europe. That's a whole other story I'm not going to get into, but I had to do it online basically then at that point, because I didn't go to, oh, sorry, let me close my email because it's just going to keep dinging. I had to go online at that point because I couldn't speak any European languages, and I wasn't there for school related reasons. So it just didn't make any sense. So I took university online at University of Maryland. And then I graduated with that degree. It took me like 3.5 years, I think, to finish a 4-year degree, just because it wasn't a huge priority for me, but it was something I felt like I needed. I still had that major pressure, just society, I guess.
So you did college all online?
I did probably 90% online, because I did have to go in and take some tests here and there, but it was like 90% online. And I remember that one specific time, like, this is how I knew that I wasn't a university person, because I just wasn't taking it very seriously. There was a coding class, and we had this final project due, and we had to build this program, and I was just like, whatever, I'll do this later. And I ended up going to Scotland. I went to Loch Ness, and just had no signal up there. This is finals week. I had no signal, and I literally thought it was okay to email my professors and be like, yeah, I'm in Scotland, I have no signal, like I'll get this back to you like later this month. And I didn't know that wasn't the thing that you could do. In my mind, it was like, I'm paying you to teach me, like I'll get the work to you when I'm done with it. And it's ridiculous that we should pretend this needs to be on a timeline. And so later, obviously way later in life, I was like, oh, that's not how college works. But at the time, I had no concept of why I needed to even be doing this in the first place. So I don't think I just didn't take it very seriously, which is funny to me. So I think that was very quickly, I realized maybe university is not for me. And then funnily enough, I decided I wanted another degree later, and I did end up going back to another university, and I have a second degree. But I felt bad about kind of phoning it in the first time, even though I did finish and got a diploma and all of that.
What are your degrees in?
So the first degree is in software engineering, and then the second degree is in technical anthropology. So both of them kind of
Hold up. Technical anthropology and software engineering. Good Lord, yes. Rachel.
That's okay. Well, this is the funny part. And I don't want to say what university I went to the second time because I don't want to bash them. But the work I learned, what I learned from those classes, I've learned more from YouTube videos. This is not a joke. I have learned more from YouTube videos and more from courses I've taken from other people and from like Coursera.com than I ever learned in any of my university classes.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
When MIT made its open courseware available, did you take a look at that at all?
I haven't even looked at that, but that's definitely on my list of things to do, which is funny because I saw that Harvard made a bunch of online courses available, and I actually applied because I was like, oh, I'm just curious to see. And I got in, which I was like, okay, that's enough. I don't need, what does Elle Wood say? Oh, like it's hard. I was like, I don't need to take it now that I've gotten into the program.
Oh, so you got accepted to the program and just didn't go?
No, yeah. I just wanted to see if I could get in. So
that's hilarious.
I think it's awesome that there are some of these, because I know you did MIT, a lot of these, really prestigious universities are putting their classes online and making them more accessible. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool too, because it's like, all because you have access to the course information, nothing can replicate the experience of sitting in, walking down the infinite corridors.
Oh yeah, in the absolutely.
Hall, being because I mean, you're literally networking, living with future
getting to talk to. Yes.
I mean, I got an email from one of my friends who had graduated from Yale undergrad, came to MIT for grad in urban studies and planning, and she's running for office in Missouri. So it's like, and then I can go down the list of all the alumni, but these are lifelong connections that are just amazing. But I think it's good just for like the greater good, for knowledge and information to be readily available. I mean, knowledge, intellectual capital is like the new means of production,
Oh, absolutely.
And I believe the people should have access to it.
Absolutely. And there's irreplaceable about going to campus and taking your classes and your courses and your tests and everything, and having that almost like an incubator, because everyone has a common goal and is there for the same reason, at least in your second, or at least in your third and fourth year. First and second year, maybe not so much, but
right. So
yeah, that's it. That's an irreplaceable experience.
Right. So now you went to college, you got your software engineering degree, and your technical anthropology degree. I mean, that's a whole nother show topic. We're not.
That's a whole other topic. We can't get into that right now.
But I am definitely going to talk to you about that later.
Sure.
But Clubhouse, this is how we met. And
yes.
Tell me, what was your initial impression of Clubhouse?
I was so overwhelmed. I was so gobsmacked, for lack of a better term. I feel like that is the best term to describe how I felt. I walked into basically what is, well, you know, because you're on it, but for anyone who doesn't know, it's you open the app and it's essentially like a digital virtual hallway. And you almost imagine it like you're walking into university and you see like lecture halls on either side of this hallway, and on the door is kind of posted what the lecture is about or something, you know, it's whatever this and that. And so I immediately grasped the concept. And the app at the beginning, it's gotten a little more, there's more to it now, but at the beginning it was like 3 buttons and the virtual hallway. And I say at the beginning as if I'm like an OG user, but I got on it December the 6th, 2020. And at that time, I heard that there were only like 172 to 175,000 users, which is crazy. Yeah. And then I think we're over 2 million now. What is this, like 8 weeks? Oh no, not even 8 weeks later, less than 7 weeks later. So
right.
It's actually, I take it back. The very first day that I joined, there were like less than 100,000 users. And then within a week, I think it was 175,000. So I guess I'm an OG user, but
you really are, believe it or not.
I thought this is such an incredible concept. Just the fact that we're going back to the original form of communication, which is just, you know, speaking to each other. It's so simple.
It's like full circle. It's like full circle. Yeah. It's crazy.
So simple. Yeah.
Right. I think the thing that just for me that makes Clubhouse just like totally worth like ditching your Android for an iPhone is the fact that not only is it, you know, going full circle to just, you know, talking to each other, but you're able to literally talk to anyone, anywhere. And that's a game changer.
Yeah, I saw the other day that maybe about a week ago, like Germany had kind of onboarded, and now Asia is on. And so I'm seeing these rooms with different languages and the titles in my hallway, and it's so cool because it's just, yeah. What's incredible is,
wait a second. So you're telling me now they're onboarding different countries with different languages? Yeah. So if I live in Long Beach, California, and you know, Spanish is pretty much we have 2 like official languages, English and Spanish here in California. And so if I want to brush up on my Espanol, I can go into a Spanish Clubhouse room.
I theoretically, yes. It's funny you say that though, and I feel like Spanish would be a language that would have been on there pretty quickly. Spanish, I haven't seen any Spanish rooms. However, that doesn't mean they're not there, and I'm positive that they are, because your hallways, as you know, curated by your own personal behavior on the app. So since I don't speak Spanish, I haven't been following any Spanish speaking rooms or clubs or anything. So I think they're just not showing up in my hallway, but they have to be there. I think now with there's a new feature, well, newer, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks old now, where you can choose different things you're interested in. And I think languages is one of them. So since there's not a whole lot of different countries or languages on the app right now, it's still indexable. So I think they're kind of lumping them all under one category. However, I'm sure they're going to have to change that pretty quickly as they onboard different countries with different languages. So, but just for me, I've seen German and Asian in my feed. I think based on people I was probably already following, I'm following a few expats who like live in other countries. So I think that's why I got those popped up in my feed, to just kind of see if they were going to interest me. And then as I haven't clicked on them, they've kind of disappeared after a few days. But yeah, it's really nice to just know that they're there. And I've noticed being in other rooms where people will have very strong accents for different languages, and then they'll say like, oh, English is not my first language, and it's like, oh really? I couldn't tell.
Right.
So you can tell there's a lot of people on there already whose first language is not English, but I just feel like English is such a common language that a lot of people try to learn. So it's been good, I think, to start off with at least.
All right. So let's get a laser focus in on just like the business aspect of Clubhouse. Like what do you see is the value proposition for a business professional, entrepreneur, executive to be on the app?
Yeah, I would say number one is that it's absolutely doable without the app's help. So I know they keep talking about rolling out different ways to monetize and things like that, where supposedly it's going to be kind of like where you can link your Instagram or Twitter to your account. You apparently will be able to link like Venmo or Cash App or something like that, so people can like pay you to come into like locked rooms or tip you, because I know there are shows and comedy routines and musicals and all kinds of things that are hosted on the app. And it's kind of a way to just say thank you to the people who are performing or who have created the event, kind of like paying for a ticket, essentially, a ticket to a virtual event. Or if you're in a room and you felt like someone, just to use Clubhouse rhetoric, drop some gems, then you can you can monetarily thank them for that.
Right.
Immediately while you're just sitting there. So I know that has been happening, or that is supposed to be happening, but I know people are already doing it. I mean, I was in like a comedy routine room a couple of weeks ago, and I found the main comedian's Venmo in her bio, and I like tipped her on Venmo just because she was so funny. And tickets to those types of events are sometimes really expensive. And she's a professional comedian that like has done tours and been on TV and all kinds of stuff. Like, this wasn't just a random. I don't know if she does. I'd have to check. I don't have Netflix, so I honestly don't know. But she might. She was definitely that good.
You don't have Netflix, Rachel?
No, I don't.
That's probably why you're such a great blogger. You don't have the distraction of Netflix and chill.
I have my other vices. I do have Amazon like Prime Video, and there's plenty for me to waste my time on there. But yeah, I had to just cut off Netflix. This is again a whole other discussion, but they were doing some questionable things I just couldn't get behind. So I was like, you know what, this is one I can let go of. So, but I think the monetization aspect of Clubhouse is like kind of unlimited. The only thing I would say about going about it is there's already been so many complaint rooms started after some of these, what people are calling millionaire rooms, have ended. It's like all of these self-proclaimed millionaires, without actually declaring what a millionaire is or how they're quantifying that, are starting these rooms. And there will be some very well-known people that we as a society know are millionaires, or even more than that, because they're on TV or they have their own shows. But then there will be like one or two of those verifiable millionaires in the room.
Right.
And they'll be talking about like their latest book or their latest course and giving truly valuable information. But 2/3 of the time will be kind of like pitching something. Right. And then there will be other people get up who no one knows and claiming they're a millionaire and giving all this advice or saying, take my course. And it's like, okay, that's all well and good. And there's nothing wrong with anyone promoting themselves. I definitely think people should do that. But when you lead from a place of value versus trying to just separate people from their money as fast as possible, I do think there's something to be said with building trust with people instead of just saying, I'm a millionaire, trust me. And I do think it's kind of a little bit disrespectful to your potential client or audience by just acting as if they should buy your course just because you said so. It's like, I want to see reviews. I want to hear testimonials. I want proof positive that me investing in your course or your book or whatever is going to give me information that if I take action on could really make a difference in my life. And
Right.
I've seen a lot of response rooms or kind of like after party rooms when these millionaire rooms end, with people talking about how they just didn't appreciate the way they were being treated,
Right. Right.
or interestingly enough, you'll see someone like come on the stage and ask a difficult question and they'll get booted out of the room because nobody wants to have to give any sort of like they don't have to be accountable for their words. So there's a lot of lying and posturing and just straight up fraud going on
So
Clubhouse.
how can you as a person, what would you recommend on navigating that? Because,
Yeah.
part of my frustration on Clubhouse is like, that's why I stopped going to like the bigger rooms, because one, most times you can't get on stage. And two, if you do get on stage, it's like there's so many people already on stage.
Yeah.
You have to be there for hours. And, if you're a busy, successful entrepreneur trying to, deliver value to your clients, your paying clients, you don't have time to be sitting on Clubhouse for like 8, 16, 24 hours.
Oh yeah. Some of these rooms literally go for days. And I think that's your number one red flag. If these people were so successful, how do they have time? Well, this is the opposite argument. The one argument is like, okay, if you're so successful, how do you have time to be on here for 3 days long? The other side of that argument is, oh, they're so successful, their systems are so automated that now they can do this. But then I go back to the other argument, which is, if you're so successful, why are you pushing your product so hard on this app? Then let your fancy funnel
Exactly.
let your fancy funnel do all the work then, if it's so successful. So it's like there are arguments from both sides. And I will have to say, for me, I first got on it right before the holidays started, and I was taking a lot of personal time off from work, and I was traveling and visiting family, and I did have a lot of downtime. So my my screen time was appalling. And but then it's tapered off heavily, pretty much as soon as it was like the first week of January was over, I was only on Clubhouse when I had a room scheduled with like you or someone else, or I knew there was going to be a specific event happening based on someone's email list I was following, or I follow them on Instagram, like Elena Cardone. I knew about her room because she posted it on her Instagram. It
Is
was like
Elena Cardone related to Grant Cardone?
Yeah, yes, that's his wife. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she an entrepreneur too?
Yeah, she's an entrepreneur. She really has some incredible resources, but I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to go into her scheduled room, but she's not just popping in and out of the app, all day long. Like, she had a scheduled room, like scheduled days or weeks in advance. So
right.
I think that's a good indicator of someone's
who's really successful.
Exactly, because I do feel like there's a little bit of novelty at the beginning. So if I see someone's only been on the app a month or two or a few weeks, it's like, okay, yeah, they're on here all the time. I don't think anything of that. However, if I see someone's been on here like 4, 5, 6 months and they're just nonstop every time I log in, no matter the time of day or day of week they're on there, I'm going to get a little suspicious of what they've actually got going on. So I think that's the number one thing to look for is, okay, think of the successful people that are they hanging out on any other social media platform nonstop all day long? And this is different. You can, Elon Musk tweets all the time, but that's something you can formulate any time of the day, and then you pop it on there, and it's not like you have to sit on the app. Whereas with Clubhouse, if you're not actively speaking, you might as well not be there. No one even knows you're there unless they're like scrolling through rooms, seeing who's online at the moment. So
right.
I think that's part of it. I think that is the number one thing to weed out sort of the possible untruths from the people you can trust is, how often is this person on this app? And then they rolled out that new feature, maybe it was a month ago now. It's like people are referring to it as a buddy list, where if you swipe left from the home screen on the app, you can see everyone you're following on the side and see what room they're in, or if they're online. So if it just shows online, it means like they're scrolling through the hallway looking for a room, or they're in a private room with someone that you can't access. And you can also see when the last time they were in the room or on the app. So it's like some people will show like it's the middle of the day, like a lunch hour time, and it'll be like they were on 25 minutes ago. And then you scroll and it's like this person was on 48 hours ago. And it's like, okay, that person has a life, you know?
Right.
I think that's part of it. Is I've noticed there are certain individuals who seem like they're never off of it, and then other people who I see them on every few days. And for me, that's a good indicator whether or not someone has a life outside of the app.
Right.
So it's obviously not a foolproof plan, but it's definitely a good place to start. And then the other thing I would say is, if someone claims to know something or be doing something, it's so easy to find out if that's true on the internet. Like with a super simple Google search of their name or the company they claim to be a part of, or
right,
you know, their Instagram account. It's funny to me how there's so many of these like course gurus or like marketing gurus or whatever they are, or life hacking millionaire gurus, and they have like a ton of followers on Clubhouse because it's
and like 200 on Instagram.
Yes, you click through and you're like, you don't exist off of this app, right? Or you go to their, it's so awful. Or you go to their landing page
and it looks
and it's like
incomplete.
No. Yeah, it's like there's no way you're making millions of dollars from this email funnel. Like there's no way that this is true. So I would say just due diligence. Like don't take someone's word for it. You don't have to go around like bashing people or gossiping about someone, but do your own due diligence. Look for someone else who's taken their course, their class, this, that, and the other. And with a pretty simple Google search, you can find out if someone is legit or not. But
so
that's my 2 cents on that.
So I have to tell you that when I first met you and first got on the app on Clubhouse, I was spending a lot of time. So my executive coach, he was like, I see when you on the app, but I'd be sitting on the app in a room and he'd send me a message and he'd be like, stay focused.
That's what you're paying him for.
Right. And I got off the app. So now it's like I stick to, right now I'm down to 1 hour, just the room that you and I do. But as soon as, you know, some of these projects stop creeping into all of my life and my staff gets it together some more. Yes. I'm not bashing my team. My team is a very important part, but you know, there's a lot of collaboration that's happening with a lot of the campaigns with the staff. So
of course.
Past that stage, I'll probably go back to the 2 hours. So my question to you is like, what kind of success have you found on Clubhouse? What value have you been able to bring and what value have you been able to extract from the app?
Yeah. So going into it, not having any plans of what I was going to take out of the app, I was just like, oh, a new social media app. I want to check this out. And I love meeting new people and having conversations with just random people. I mean, before the pandemic, I would, there was like, when I lived in Nashville, there were these couple of dive bars that like the tourists didn't know about or anything. And I would go there all the time and just kick it with these like old timers at the bar and having random conversations with people I would have never come across in any other way, except that we were all there on a Friday afternoon or a Friday evening having a drink and just literally talking about anything under the sun.
Right.
And I would have never run into some of these people in my everyday life with the business I worked in or anything I'm doing as like a young woman. But, they're all these older, like not biker gang, but like some of them were in like a bike group and some of them were like just all different kinds of things. I would have never been friends with these people because I would never had the opportunity or the privilege of running across them anywhere else in like my social ecosystem. So my thought immediately was like, oh my gosh, I have people to talk to now. And my number one fear is living in a world of my own creation. And by that, I mean, honestly, having no grasp on what's happening to other people in other demographics in other parts of the world, and going my whole life thinking my problems are the worst thing that I've ever come across. I have this bizarre fear of that. So I felt like I'm losing touch with reality by living in my own bubble here during this pandemic. And I need to know what else is going on. And the only way I feel like to do that is to talk to actual other people. I won't say I don't trust the news, but I don't trust the news. You only get what you get on social media. I know that things are planned and blocked and pushed out to people, and to try to create a certain narrative based on how people want things to work so they can make more money with their businesses. It's all about the bottom line. So when you're just talking to other human beings, that's when you really start to get the truth. That's when you really start to understand like what is happening on the streets. So
what's
that?
So your
my only thought was I want to get community and conversation out of this. So by doing that, I went in with a very authentic, organic mindset, and I just started talking about what I knew about. I never pretended like, oh, I did this, oh, I did that. I didn't even fill out my bio for a really long time. And I just started getting people following me and then coming over to Instagram and being like, oh, you do all this stuff. Like, it's nice to meet you. I want to work with you. Or like, what else do you do? Or, just forming friendships based on me just talking. And then I heard you talking in a room and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know who this person is, but like, I need to know her. And I tapped through your profile and I don't even remember, because we've talked about this before. It's like, I can't even remember how we ended up doing this, but I saw on your bio, I think something about, or your Instagram, something about SEO. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the only other SEO person I've even run across on this app at this time. Like, we need to collaborate. So I kind of went from there. But as far as extracting something from the app, it's been friendships and community. And now, business related things, because, you and I started that everythingseo.club website to have a landing page to gather emails so that we could communicate with the people we were helping off the app. Because once you're done talking, that's it. That content disappears. So
right.
It's really very organically morphed into something like really incredible. And I'm just excited to see where it goes. But I would say going into it with a giving and a community building mindset is how to, like, quote unquote, hack or succeed on this app. It's just not like other apps where it's just not a popularity contest. It's really a community building opportunity.
Right. I think authenticity is the only way on this.
Yeah. And being yourself no matter what room you go into. So like not changing because I see people saying like change your bio depending on what room you're in. And I'm like, what? I don't have time for that.
Crazy. And that's crazy, and also too much work. Like, stop
too
it.
much work. I'm like you're getting copy, what you're gonna get.
click every time. Nah, I'm not doing that.
I don't, but I've heard people talk about how they have different bios in like their notes app for different rooms, and I'm like, y'all be spending too much time on here.
I'm doing too much. So I don't want to brag, but
please brag. I love it when you brag.
You love it when I brag?
I do,
but our room is super mega successful, and people are going to have to come to the Reach More Clients Power Conference to get more juicy details on how we built our list. I think we have almost 200 emails now from Clubhouse.
Every time we do a room, we get about 70% of the people attending sign up for that email list, which is crazy to me, because that is major action. To ask someone while they're on their phone to go and put their email in a completely separate website, they're not even getting to click on it. It's just from us saying, if you want to get a recap of this room, go to everythingseo.club. Like, that's all we're doing. There's nowhere for them to click on this. And the fact that we get about 70% to move over is incredible to me.
The thing that is like blowing me away is that we're getting between, like, I would say between 60 and 40% of everybody in the room is following us on Instagram now too.
Yeah, that too. That I was not expecting that.
I mean, when I was looking at I was like, my Instagram blowing up, and I was like, and I texted you, and I was like, how did? Because I thought I didn't know, it didn't register where the followers were coming from.
There was, that last room we did, I think we each had about 45 followers just from that 1 hour, because we do a hard stop at 1 hour, which I love.
Right.
And people know that. So being able to send out that email to say, like, this is when it starts, be there. I think that's why we immediately get 40, 50, 100, 300 people in the room, is because of that email list. I think that's why they're getting more and more well attended, is because of that.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, just making it very easy, very accessible, and not selling anything to anybody. Like, when we get in there, the stuff that we've talked about has been stuff that I know we both charge hundreds to thousands of dollars for sessions with people.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have not held back. I have not held back like a secret.
Not
hack, tip, nothing. No. We literally shared stuff that's in like our high touch courses.
Right.
Just giving it away for free.
And so since this is the SEO Queen Tech Show, I have to tell you this. Like, when we do our room tomorrow, which when people hear this, it'll be Thursday, February 4th. So
okay, yeah, we're doing our room tomorrow.
February 5th, when we do our room, which you can go to everything SEO.club, right? That's our website.
Yes, that's our website.
to get the schedule. And we're going to be talking about some really cool things. So let me tell you what happened to me, Rachel. So I had a client last week, went from like no ranks for keywords to Google page 1 in less than 24 hours.
That's insane. That's like every SEO strategist's dream.
That's not the first time I've done it.
I know. We've talked about this before. Like, this is becoming like a thing, like a notch thing, like in your holster.
You know what? I think by me just thinking about how the algorithms work, like, I'm not going to tell all the secrets.
We don't have time to tell all the secrets. No. Not that we don't want to. We literally don't have time.
Right. But I mean, right now, I'm just like, I think I'm on the cusp of growth hacking SEO. Like, I think I'm going to do some more tests for about a year. Yeah. And if I can replicate the success consistently, that's going to be a game changer. And oh my God, I'm going to have some haters.
That's how you know you've arrived.
Right. But I'm determined to like make this SEO thing not this long term, because it's like the bros, they want you to sign these contracts and they want you to be a client for years, and then they'll do a little bit, maybe.
Just enough to make you feel like something's happening so that you trust them.
Right.
I remember the first, before I started my SEO teaching platform, I was actually thinking about offloading SEO to someone else so that I could focus on other things, kind of before I realized it was like a major passion and like going to be the core of my business. Right. And I remember it was like 3 months before we even got into SEOing the back end and SEOing stuff. And I remember them telling me, so I was like, I have a goal for 100,000 page views in 6 months on this one specific blog that I just like couldn't seem to get off the ground, because I have several different ones. And they're like, I don't know. And I was just like, you're fired.
Well,
tell me that I can't do that and say, like, that's absurd.
I mean, I feel like you're my SEO sister, and I feel like we're gonna take over the world. So people need to
For
go
sure.
to SEO.club and stay tuned.
Yep.
Because we're going to talk our shit.
Yeah, we're not just saying we know how to do it. We're actually showing that we know how to do it.
We are practitioners.
Absolutely. This goes back to my top tip. Absolutely ask questions. If someone is in a room and you hear them talking about hacking it to 1 million or whatever, ask them, okay, well, how did you do this? And what about that? And if they don't have an answer for you, then they probably don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Well, every good thing must come to an end. But I just want to say, Rachel, it is always a pleasure talking to you. And I highly, highly, highly recommend that everybody go to theKennedyCurate.com and check out that website because it has a treasure trove. I mean, like amazing information about business. I mean, I learned so much stuff just like apps, like you were talking about this one app on Instagram to track your cycle. And I mean, just all these, like productivity hacks and stuff. So you definitely want to plug in because, you know, don't let the pretty face fool you. You know, Rachel, she is such a nerd and super smart and super resourceful. So follow her, please.
That is the best compliment you could give me. Thank you for telling me I'm a nerd.
Yeah, I mean, it's like don't let the pretty face fool you.
Yes, all that feminine life, all the feminine lifestyle content. All that underneath all that feminine lifestyle content is super nerd.
Yeah.
Well, Z, this has been so amazing. I'm so honored that you invited me to be on your podcast. And we could chat for hours, which we do.
Right.
But I've loved being on here. Thank you so much for having me as a guest.
Thank you so much for sharing your time because I know you're busy.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
This is important. These are the types of things I will always be happy to make time for. If someone wants me on their podcast, I'm like, not even asking questions. I'm like, yes, let's do it. I will be on your podcast.
Yeah. But thank you so much. And check out Rachel on theKennedyCurate.com and everythingseo.club.
Yes, that's where you can find me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Z.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.